Money does not buy power. Money is power in liquid form. This is not a metaphor. This is the fundamental truth. Machiavelli understood that most people spend their lives denying. Every moral framework that tells you money is not important exists to keep you compliant, to keep you working for someone else's wealth while believing your poverty is virtuous. Power flows toward wealth like water flows downhill, not because wealthy people are better, because wealth creates options. Options create leverage. Leverage creates control. The person with more options always has power over the person with fewer options. This is not philosophy. This is physics applied to human behavior. You are about to learn 7 principles from Machiavelli's psychology of money. Not how to get rich quick, how to understand the relationship between wealth and power so clearly that every financial decision you make serves both. Each principle removes a delusion that keeps most people poor and powerless. Principle 1, money is not about comfort. It is about freedom from coercion. You think you want money for a better car, a nicer house, luxury items. This is surface desire. What you actually want is the ability to refuse. A job that degrades you becomes optional. Relationships that drain you can be left. Obligations that waste your time can be declined. People who disrespect you lose access to you. Without money, refusal becomes nearly impossible. The paycheck is needed. The bad boss gets tolerated. Staying in the wrong relationship happens because leaving means financial instability. Disrespect gets accepted because objecting might cost opportunities. Powerlessness here is not about character. It is about economics. With money, the entire position changes. Jobs become optional. Relationships become voluntary. Obligations become negotiable. Walking away from anything that does not serve you becomes possible. And that ability to walk away is power in its purest form. When you understand this, your entire approach to money changes. Spending on things that signal status stops. Accumulating resources that create optionality starts. Because every dollar saved is a small expansion of your ability to refuse what you do not want. Refusal is the foundation of power, the rule. Treat every dollar as a unit of freedom, not a unit of pleasure. Ask yourself, does this purchase increase my options or decrease them? Does it move me toward independence or toward dependence? Money spent on impressing others is power surrendered. Money saved is power accumulated. Principle 2. The appearance of wealth is expensive. Actual wealth is invisible. You see someone with luxury items, designer clothes, expensive car, high-end accessories. You assume wealth, probably debt instead. Because real wealth does not announce itself. Real wealth hides while accumulating. Understanding Machiavelli's psychology means not displaying wealth, displaying just enough success to be taken seriously, but not enough to attract envy or attention, because attention from the wrong people is expensive. It attracts requests for money, jealousy, theft, and tax scrutiny. The truly wealthy drive normal cars, wear normal clothes, live in normal neighborhoods, not because of cheapness, because visible wealth makes you a target, while invisible wealth makes you powerful. When no one knows you have money, manipulation through your money cannot happen. This also applies to negotiations. The moment someone knows you have resources, prices increase. Job candidates who appear desperate get lower offers. Buyers who appear wealthy pay more. Information about your financial state is leverage for others. Hiding that information protects your leverage. The rule: minimize visible wealth, maximize actual wealth. Look successful enough to be credible, but not wealthy enough to be targeted. Save the display for when it strategically serves you. when closing a deal, when establishing authority. Otherwise, blend in. Invisibility protects accumulation. Principle 3. Earning is not the bottleneck. Keeping is. Most people focus on income, higher salaries, more clients, better deals. These become the goals. Achievement happens. Then staying broke happens too, because keeping what gets earned never gets learned. Understanding power through wealth means focusing equally on defense. Protecting what accumulates matters. Lifestyle inflation gets avoided. Life does not upgrade every time income increases. The gap between earning and spending is where wealth lives. This is why high-income professionals often have no power. Earning 6 figures while spending 6 figures means no reserves, no cushion, no optionality. One job loss creates crisis. High income created no power because it created no margin. Earning less but keeping more creates more power than earning more but keeping nothing. Because power comes from accumulated resources, not from income flow. Income is potential. Savings is kinetic. Only kinetic resources create options. The rule: focus on the gap, not the income. A person earning $50,000 and spending $30,000 is more powerful than a person earning $150,000 and spending $150,000. Increase income, but protect the gap religiously. That gap is your growing power base. But here is where most people completely fail, and this connects directly to Principle 6. Accumulating wealth means nothing if you do not understand what wealth actually buys in terms of power dynamics. Accumulation happens, but power does not, because the conversion gets misunderstood. Principle 4. Debt is rented power. Equity is owned power. You want something now but lack the money. 2 options appear: wait and save, or borrow and pay interest. Borrowing wins most of the time, and in borrowing, future power gets traded for present consumption. Understanding Machiavellian psychology means avoiding consumer debt entirely. Not because debt is immoral, because debt is expensive. Every dollar paid in interest is a dollar that could have been building equity. Every monthly payment is a constraint on future options. Debt makes you predictable. Banks know payments need to be made. Employers know quitting is not an option. Position weakens because obligations are visible. But having no debt and growing equity makes you unpredictable. Risks can be taken, bad offers can be waited out, unfavorable terms can be walked away from. This does not mean never using debt. It means only using debt when it creates more power than it costs. Borrowing to buy consumer goods is power loss. Borrowing to acquire income-producing assets is power multiplication. Whether the debt increases options or decreases, that makes the difference. The rule: eliminate consumer debt completely. Avoid car loans, credit card balances, personal loans for lifestyle. If borrowing must happen, borrow only for assets that generate return greater than the interest cost. Every debt payment that does not build equity is power leaking out of your life. Principle 5. Relationships follow resource concentration. You wonder why people with money have more opportunities, better connections, more respect. Personality is not the reason. Economics is. Humans cluster around resource concentration. This is not greed. This is survival instinct applied to modern life. Having resources means being able to provide opportunities. Investing in ventures becomes possible. Introductions get made. Security gets offered. People want proximity to that capability, not because of being users, because proximity to resources increases survival chances. This is why the poor have poor networks and the wealthy have wealthy networks. Not because the poor are less worthy, because networks form around resource exchange. Having few resources means offering few resources. Offering few resources means high-resource people have less incentive to maintain connection. This sounds harsh, but understanding it is liberating. Being more likable is not needed. Being more resourced is. As wealth increases, network quality increases automatically. Calls get returned, meetings get taken, introductions get made. Not because of personality change, because capacity to exchange value increased. The rule: stop trying to network up from a position of scarcity. Build resources first. Let relationships upgrade naturally as your capability to provide value increases. Having nothing to offer means charming your way in. Having resources to deploy means getting invited in. Principle 6. Wealth buys time. Time creates more wealth. Most people trade time for money. Working hourly or salary is the norm. This is the lowest form of wealth building because time is capped. Only so many hours exist, so income is capped by available time. Operating from Machiavellian psychology means breaking this connection as fast as possible. Ways to earn while not working get found. Investments generate return. Systems produce income. Ownership pays regardless of time input. This is the difference between working in the system and owning the system. Employees trade hours for dollars. Owners receive dollars while sleeping. Employee power grows linearly with effort. Owner power grows exponentially with leverage. But here is the deeper insight. Wealth buys time to create more wealth. Having enough saved to take 6 months off work means learning a new skill becomes possible. Building a business becomes possible. Taking risks that employed people cannot take becomes possible. Wealth creates temporal space. Temporal space creates opportunities that generate more wealth. The rule: calculate your financial runway. How many months can you survive without income? Then extend that runway aggressively. Because each additional month of runway is an additional month of freedom to pursue opportunities that compound wealth rather than just sustain life. Now the final principle, and this is the one that makes all the others possible. Without this, wealth creates no power. With this, even modest wealth creates significant power. This is the psychological foundation. Principle 7. Scarcity is negotiating leverage. Abundance is negotiating weakness. Negotiating salary while desperately needing the job creates a problem. Showing enthusiasm and expressing how much you want, it seems helpful. It destroys your leverage. Because the employer now knows you will accept less rather than walk away. Understanding power through wealth means never negotiating from need. Even if the job is needed, showing it does not happen. Other options appear to exist. Walking away appears possible. Whether this opportunity meets your standards gets evaluated, not hoping it accepts you. This principle applies everywhere. Needing to sell a house gets worse terms than being able to wait. Appearing desperate as a buyer means paying more. Appearing desperate as a seller means receiving less. But being able to walk away means setting the terms. Wealth creates abundance. Abundance creates the appearance of not needing any specific deal, and that appearance is leverage. Having 6 months of savings means refusing a bad job offer becomes possible. Having 0 savings means refusal is impossible. The difference in power is enormous despite the difference in wealth being modest. The rule: never negotiate from visible need. Even if the deal is needed, act as if alternatives exist. Build enough wealth that alternatives actually do exist. Because real options create confident behavior. Confident behavior creates better terms. Needing nothing wins everything. So here is how implementing Machiavelli's psychology of money starts tomorrow. Pick 3 principles and apply them consistently. Treat money as freedom units. Stop buying status and start buying optionality. Every purchase decision becomes, does this increase or decrease my power to refuse? Make wealth invisible, Display minimum necessary success while hiding actual accumulation from casual observers. Protect the gap between earning and spending. Focus on margin, not income. Widen the gap aggressively. Eliminate consumer debt. Pay off credit cards and avoid car loans. Only borrow for assets that generate return. Build resources before networking. Stop trying to charm your way into higher circles. Become someone with resources to deploy. Break the time for money connection. Find your first dollar not dependent on your hours through automation, investment, or systems. Never negotiate from need. Build 6-month runway. Act abundant even when starting. Present alternatives even when evaluating options. Apply 3 principles starting tomorrow. Notice how decisions change when purchases get measured in freedom units instead of pleasure units. See how differently people respond when wealth is invisible, but competence is not. Track how much faster wealth accumulates when the gap gets protected religiously. Observe how much power arrives when consumer debt disappears. Watch relationship quality improve as resource capacity grows. See opportunities multiply when time gets owned instead of sold. Notice how negotiations shift when walking away becomes possible. This is not about becoming rich to buy things. This is about becoming wealthy to buy power. Power over time, choices, who gets access to you, what gets tolerated, entire life structure. Machiavelli observed that princes without wealth were princes in name only. Ruling at the pleasure of those who funded them was their reality. True princes controlled their own treasury. This gave them independence. Independence gave them authority. Authority gave them power. Building your treasury happens now, not for luxury, for independence. Every dollar saved is a small piece of your own principality. A small expansion of territory where you make the rules, where others must meet your terms, where coercion cannot happen. Most people misunderstand wealth. Having more things seems like the goal. Needing fewer things from others is the actual goal. Needing much from others creates weakness regardless of income. Needing little from others creates strength regardless of modest means. Measuring wealth wrong has been happening. Spending wrong has been happening. Accumulating visibility instead of accumulating power has been happening. Starting now, this reverses. Every financial decision gets measured by the power it creates or destroys. This is not natural. Society trains spending, displaying, signaling status through consumption. These behaviors keep people dependent. Dependent people are controllable. Controllable people are useful to systems that profit from their labor. Machiavelli's psychology of money is escape from that control. Recognition arrives that wealth, properly understood and properly accumulated, is the foundation of personal sovereignty. Not wealth for show. Wealth for independence. Not money to spend. Money to protect you from being spent. Having no wealth means having no power. Being subject to every external force becomes reality. Job loss destroys. Relationship end devastates. Unexpected expense cripples. Living in perpetual reaction mode happens because no cushion exists to absorb impact. Having wealth means having options. Job loss is inconvenience, not catastrophe. Relationship end is painful but not ruinous. Unexpected expense gets managed from reserves. Living in response mode happens, not reaction mode. Responses get chosen because resources exist to enable choice. This is why power follows wealth. Not because money is everything, because money is the universal converter. Conversion into time happens. Conversion into options happens. Conversion into leverage, independence, and the ability to live life on your terms instead of on terms imposed by circumstance. All of this becomes possible. Master these 7 principles, not to become rich for richness' sake. to become powerful through economic independence, to become untouchable because needing nothing from anyone who would extract something from you becomes your reality. That is Machiavelli's psychology of money, and it is yours now.